Welcome back. And if you've just joined us on the Nafeesa Dangor show, then we're definitely inspiring you this afternoon by, of course, giving back in many directions. But it's, of course, also helping with you, with your mindset, changing the way you look at things, uplifting your spirits. It is a very difficult time, but it's also about giving back. That's what the time is about. It's about giving back and helping others move forward as well. And I can see it's an amazing time right now in the sense that all South Africans have pulled together. Each one is doing their little piece and helping create the support structure. And I think that is phenomenal. And today with me, I'm going to talk to a lady who's definitely been giving back in many directions. Safeeyah Moosa is the founder of Spiritual Chords, the humanitarian aid and sustainable and education development projects, and has spearheaded emergency relief and education development projects in South Africa, Pakistan, Malawi, Somalia, Bangladesh, Syria, the UK, and Zimbabwe. Some projects under her auspices have received international recognition and acclaim. And today she's going to be joining me in conversation. And I want to ask you a question, and then she's going to answer the rest for me. Are you ready for the experience that over 1.6 billion have been experiencing worldwide? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sister Safeeyah Moosa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And it's really an honor to be on your program.
Thank you so much. And I think the honor is ours. We always love profiling people like yourselves who are, of course, uplifting communities, giving back, and, and just enriching people in many directions. And I think this is what the show is about. We want to, of course, entice other people into giving back and create this positivity, especially around this very difficult COVID-19 period. But now, talk to me a little bit about Spiritual Chords before we go into your project.
Spiritual Chords is actually just... if I have to put it in a nutshell, Spiritual Chords represents La'allakum Tashkurun. It's a means of making shukr to Allah. So it's got its label, which is Spiritual Chords, but really it is an expression of my sajda to the ayat, Surah Nahl, ayat 78, where Allah says, He programmed us for La'allakum Tashkurun, that He gave us hearing, sight, intelligence, and affections, so that we would be grateful. So it's just an expression of me trying to live that ayat.
I understand. What does it mean for you, knowing that you're in a space where you can, of course, uplift people, give back to them? And I think the difference is when you see people from where they were to where they are. I think that fulfillment alone is enough for one.
It is, and I think many people experience this. You must remember that actually Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said even a smile was charity. So we're all doing this all the time. I think we need to be mindful of the moment. We need to realize what's actually happening. That everything is a give and take, and are you happy with what you're giving? And are you satisfied if you're only taking? So every moment is that. And we all give expression to it in different ways. As NPOs and NGOs, we do it in our ways. Mothers do it, fathers do it, siblings, people in their careers. Right now, it's the need for healthcare workers, to be above and beyond the call of duty sometimes. There's a host of things that circumstances, but in any given moment, everyone is actually in an experience of giving and taking. We have to just be mindful and think, am I happy with the quality of what I'm giving? And am I happy with the degree of my give and take? Is my taking more than the giving? Or am I in a position to give more of my good communication, good character? Because really that's all we're responsible for, is the quality of our communication in life and the quality of our behavior. And how we do the communication and behavior should be according to Quran. And that's basically what it is. So coming back to a more NGO perspective, it may seem like that I'm not answering your question, but the intention with which Spiritual Chords was started was actually to do Sami'na wa Ata'na, listen and obey Quran. So even the way I try and operate the NGO and charity work, I think back on the method that was used by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Abu Bakr, freeing the slaves. You're talking about the fulfillment and seeing change in people. People are enslaved by hire purchase, debts, school bond, housing bonds, school loans, all those kind of things. Actually, it's a sort of an enslavement, illnesses. So we need to view slavery in the context of today's terms and think, well, if they were freeing people from bondage of something, then where can we free ourselves from our bondages, and how can we assist in others being freed from their bondage? So with that in mind, our projects are essentially sustainable development, where we engage with needy communities and free them from their neediness in some way, their bondage to begging or handouts. I knew a community, or I still know the community in Pakistan, that a lot of them, I'm talking about tens of thousands of people, survive on maybe twice a week getting langar food. And so they eat twice a week, and a family will eat maybe. I'll never forget this experience that I had with a 9-year-old. I happened to smile and talk to him. Language barriers were there. He speaks Hindi. I spoke broken Urdu thrown in with Zulu in between. And so it was quite an experience. And he just started humming, and I hummed back. And we made a connection. And I was there training the women of the community how to build their own smokeless stoves so they could actually cook instead of beg, and then teaching them how to plant. Okay. On that score, by the way, 3.5 years later, the Tula Project, where we were training women to build their own smokeless non-electrical stoves, won the United Nations World Habitat Award. So Alhamdulillah for that. It was remarkable, but it's really because of these women. They did it. In 3.5 years, they spearheaded the construction of 47,000 smokeless stoves, which were made into like a kitchen unit with a large enough platform for a family of 8 to sit there and have their meal as well. And 100% safe in terms of fires. There was a 100% reduction in fire, burning through fires, open fires. So, and we were recycling waste to make the fuel bricks. So Alhamdulillah, it had a layered effect. And this youngster was a 9-year-old, was just the son of one of the moms that we were engaging with. And I'll never forget the one day, it was about day 2 or 3 of me being in a village. I meet him. His name was, I think, Barakatullah. And because it's two friends, and I don't know, I forget which one was which. Actually, no, he was Muhammad Varyam. So Muhammad Varyam comes to me with a very, very untidy, dirty, soiled plastic bag, like a shopping bag, a white one, and it's just looking totally disastrously dirty. And he shows it to me, and I look inside, and I see rice in there, which had been just thrown into the packet. And unknown to me, that was probably his week's food ration. And he came to me and he's saying, and I asked him, what's this? And he's saying, tofa, a gift. And I knew that actually even the water and the food there, even in a sanitary state, would be something that I was warned against having. And here's a boy taking his 1 week supply langar that he got for free from the masjid and just giving the whole thing to me. And I wanted to just cry. Anyway, I did cry, by the way, but I did it later. I was trying not to upset him. So I said, it's for you. I said, no, you eat. Now I don't know how to explain to him that I'm not allowed to eat this. I'm not suggesting anybody. Actually, I'm asking everyone, do not do this, because I don't want to be held liable for any health risk to anyone. But in that moment, I didn't know how to disappoint a 9-year-old boy. But this is the quality of the fulfillment of people. When you try to develop people, this is what happens. This is the fulfillment. I sat down on the floor. I tried to feed him. So he put his very dirty, uncut nails, completely messed with mud, sand, hand. I don't know when last it had been washed, if at all. He puts it in and he tries to feed me because I tried to feed him. And he's still giving me what is his sustenance. And in that moment, I just prayed. I said, Allah, if this is the method by which you're going to choose for me to die, then that's fine. Or if I'm going to get very sick, then give me the strength to bear it. But I don't know how to break this child's heart, because this is all he has, and yet he's giving it to me. So we fed each other. I was scared, I must tell you, but I just couldn't. I sat on the floor on the sand with him, and we just were both feeding each other. But overriding that fear was the fulfillment of knowing that there's so much goodness in this world, and this is what we got engaged. You know, that's I hadn't done anything for this boy yet. I just smiled at him and I hummed, and he hummed back. That was the salamati that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam talked about, that you make people feel good for having encountered you, that he was willing to give me his survival food, which would probably have to last him a few days. And he was just willing to give it to me. And now you know the beauty of the way Allah designed our fitrat, is that the world is full of beautiful people. We just get distracted.
And I think it's these memories that stick with you, knowing that you met up with this child. But I think this figment of that memory is going to be stuck with you forever, knowing that there was this child that literally had nothing, but was willing to give you almost everything that he had.
Yeah, and it made me very, for the want of better languages, I say this with all humility, very popular in the village that the elders knew that I'm not allowed to eat that food, and yet I took it. So I am now one of the tribe, so to speak. And so I have entire villages that are my family. It's just so beautiful. I don't know how to explain to you. But our main purpose was just to go there to develop the women and if the men folk also with literacy and skills training rather than handouts. So even when we doing housing projects, we don't hand over a home. This started off as a flood relief in Pakistan project in 2011 when the major floods hit there. And I was asked by Yvonne Ridley and Junaid Jamshed to intervene in some way if we could. And it just over the years developed, met a good architect who was an award-winning architect. I've been liaising with her. She's like a mother to me, incredible woman. And Allah made it happen because He's our Razik, He provides. And it all just unfolded where we train. I don't like giving like handouts, like I said. So we train people to participate in the rebuilding of their lives. So they are trained for a few weeks to make the lime and mud bricks, which is as strong as concrete, to make the panels, to build their own homes. So we do things jointly. We don't hand over things. And I also like on the other side of the spectrum to have donors experience what the life of an underprivileged person is, because we have opportunities for education, for skills development, we have the financial means, we have the nourishment to keep us going, the strength, the energy, we have housing, we have everything that is conducive to an easy way of developing skills, and they don't have all that. So really, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in his last sermon, he was referring to Quran ayat, but extend this to everything, that those who know tell those who don't know. So we're, as spiritual chords, we say what we know, we want to show those who don't know. That's our way of saying shukr for the opportunity. We'll share it with somebody who doesn't have the opportunity for our kind of education or opportunity, for skills training.
Safeeyah, talk to me about this project. Are you ready for the experience that over 1.6 billion people have been experiencing worldwide? And I think people are aching to know about it. And the reason I did that is I so avidly wanted them to listen to you and wait to hear about this, because I think this is going to be a phenomenal experience for people. It's going to be, should we say, a total eye-opener.
Okay, so it was a bit of a sarcastic, almost slightly facetious way of doing a campaign, because like I said, on the one hand, I'd like to share opportunities that the rest of us have with people who don't have those opportunities in terms of education and skills training. And on the other hand, I'd like the donors to know what it feels like. And that's why I put a disclaimer in the campaign that I'm in no way suggesting that we can actually fully understand what we are choosing to do as an experience. And it might even be like, oh, it's a fun thing, even though it's a little bit difficult. It's a fun thing for us. For them, it's involuntary and it's imposed on their life. 1.6 billion people in the world go to sleep without adequate shelter. They have no blankets, no housing. They're either on the street. If they're under some form of shelter, they don't have the clothing or facilities to manage the elements outside, rain, cold, whatever, exposure to heat also. So 1.6 billion people are doing this every single day of their life. They're not in adequate shelter. And if you imagine that the whole, whoever's gone through winters like this, everyone's got their heaters on, and we grumble about ESCOM if our heaters have to go off for 3 hours in the day. And we have blankets, sweaters, jerseys, socks, inners, everything available to us. So when I invited people to actually spend one night of your choice in June, in the middle of winter, to experience what 1.6 billion people do involuntarily every single day of their life, that just for one day use a cardboard or paper blanket. So a lot of them don't even have that. But I'm saying in your home, a lot of them are outside in your home. I didn't say you couldn't use your bed, which they don't have. I didn't say you couldn't sit on a comfortable sofa, which they don't have. I didn't say you couldn't wear a sweater or a scarf or mittens or socks. I just said one thing. I said use a cardboard or a paper blanket to experience some of what 1.6 billion people do every single day. And I've already had people said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'll just give you the donation. I'll pay you not to do that. That's how it shocked me, because they
Yes.
realized the reality. That's what happened.
Exactly, and I think it hits home base because if you ask yourself, I think we take a lot for granted, and what happens is when you think of just sleeping on that carpet alone, that's reality. It actually hits home. It really makes you think about those people that are out there, and I think it's a brilliant way of bringing this project to the fore because already just by thinking about a cardboard or a paper blanket, it already gets your mind thinking about the situation that those particular people are in without even already experiencing it.
Yep, it is. And let me tell you, we will never fully understand it. We feel a shiver, you run for the coffee, plus your blanket, plus your whatever, scarf, blankets, sweater, jacket, everything. And then the heater goes on and everything is like, oh, everybody's like rubbing their hands together. And we complain about the cold. And then the rest of them just find a place in the open, put a cardboard on top of them, and probably thank God that that they survived one more day. And we're
That is a
complaining that
sad
everything
reality.
we have, yeah, it is. It's very hard. And so there's a family in Kranskop. There's some people in Brits. There's a few people in other parts of the country that have said actually children amongst their friends on WhatsApp saying, okay, this is the night we'll do this together. So they'll give the donation for participating, and they're going to do this. They're going to see how long can they manage on their bed, on a sofa, but only with a cardboard or a piece of newspaper as their blanket. And still, there's no restrictions on whether you have warm pajamas or not, but just not the blanket. And out there, 1.6 billion people don't have the pajamas or the warm things that they need to wear and the sweaters and whatever else. They have none of those. So they're saying, let's see how much we can manage without just the blanket. And some of them said, okay, they'll wear summer pajamas so that they get the full experience of the shiver because they they're wondering how do they make themselves warm up? How do they survive? So it's actually got a lot of youth, younger people in schools talking about, hey, let's see if we're in the experience, what would we do to try and warm up? And so we're just, I'm waiting. I'm hoping people give me feedback as well. I'm not insisting anybody does this. Like I said, it was more like an eye opener or something to hit your soul hard. That if you had to imagine doing it, that's all. Basically, most people who give the donations haven't used the cardboard or the paper.
I think
Yeah.
you couldn't have said that better. It definitely does hit home base very hard because when I read it, it already got me going on another level. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job with that. We seem to be running out of time. What message do you have for our listeners today?
You know what? Allah designed us just like I said, for la'allakum tashkurun, to be grateful. Let's start being grateful for what we have. Part of gratitude and part of saying thank you to Him is not with your mouth. It's be the shukr. We were programmed, Allah says, and He drew you forth from the wombs of your mothers and you knew nothing. And He gave you hearing, sight, intelligence, and affection so that you would be grateful. So He's given us the faculties with which to take action so that we demonstrate a being and a soul or a nature or a character of gratitude. So helping others is actually operating from your fitrat, from the programming that Allah gave you. So when we're giving to others, we're actually fulfilling our programming. Anything else is deviation, a virus in the system. So if I want to be a little bit more cheeky with everybody, run an antivirus scan on you, put all that money that you're going to put towards blankets is the antivirus, because now you're using your hearing, sight, intelligence, and affections. You're hearing me, you've seen the campaign, you're probably feeling the experience if you've tried it or even just imagining it, and your heart, your love, your affection, your generosity show how thankful you are for what you have. And your antivirus is going to be all the donations that you give towards blankets to make somebody's life that tiny little bit more manageable in this very severe winter, because they've been warning that Cape Town's going to be bracing for a lot of snow and cold and very icy winds, and we're going to feel the drift of it here too in Johannesburg, and it's probably going to impact on a lot of the southern hemisphere is in winter. What do I say? People are cold.
Yeah,
Besides
and it's a
hungry,
difficult
besides
period for those
lockdown.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're starving
And
as
I think
well. You know, food warms us
it's
up.
a reality that's always been there, Safeeyah. I think
Yep.
it's just been taken more light now, especially during this period. So, Jazakallah for joining us. We only wish you strength to strength, like give you all that strength to carry on doing the most amazing work that you have been and reaching out to those people and uplifting them. And of course, we hope you stay safe during this period.
Thank you so much. My wishes and prayers for everyone the same for you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Allah protect everyone, and let's use lockdown like an involuntary itikaf and reflect a little bit more about what He wanted us to be and who He wanted us to be. And thank you
That
so
is
much
so
for
true.
the
And I always
opportunity.
The pleasure is mine. I've always had three words that I've been using the entire Ramadan, and I think you've just said it the way it is. It's reflect, retrospect, and of course, reconnect with your creator. So, Jazakallah so much for joining us. We wish Spiritual Chords nothing but all the best and of success. And we hope, of course, you get as many blankets as you can. And we're going to see if we can help you out with that in some way. Jazakallah
Please
and have a
do. I'm
lovely
going to
afternoon.
own Salam Media to that, Nafeesa? You just said it on air.
That's why we had you on today, because I think this project stood out for us. So Jazakallah, we will try our
Alhamdulillah.
best.
Take
Thank
care.
you so
All the
much.
best.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam
And
wa
that was Sister,
rahmatullahi.
and that was Sister Safeeyah Moosa, definitely enticing us in a different direction now to be able to shed light on those laying out there in the extreme cold, of course, bringing light to the blanket campaign, allowing you to sleep in your home just with a cardboard or a piece of paper to be able to experience what somebody out on the street is experiencing right now. Definitely an impactful project. We're going to go for a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back with some wholesome eating.